everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Emily, and I'm the program manager for Let's Put Our Cities on the Map. Well, we have a great lesson in store for you here today where you're going to learn how to grow your business on the web. Before we get started, I wanted to extend a very special welcome to the businesses who are joining us today from Glen Allen, Virginia, Oak Lawn, Illinois, Rockville, Maryland, Bellevue, Washington, both Los Angeles and Riverside, California, and finally, Colorado Springs, Colorado. So welcome. Throughout the presentation, if you have questions, what I would encourage you to do is write them down. Take a note of your question. Following the lesson, after Stasia is done presenting, feel free and give those questions to your workshop host so that we can get them answered for you after today's presentation. So with that, we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn it over to Stasia, who's going to teach you how to grow your business online. Have fun.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everybody out there. I am so excited to be with you today. My name is Stasia, and I am dialing in live from Nashville, Tennessee today. So hi to everybody out there all around the U.S. I'll tell you a little tiny bit about me. I have been in the internet industry for almost 20 years now, 19 actually, and I have been speaking for this program since 2011, traveling around the country teaching small businesses how to use and benefit and grow their businesses from Google's products and services. So today I am here. I'm going to be giving you sort of a crash course in a suite of tools, all from Google, that can help your business grow online. And so today's presentation is going to cover several areas. I'm going to be talking about how you can be found on Google, and I'm going to explain about how Google works so you can understand your different opportunities for appearing on the search engine results page. I'll be talking about getting unique insights and show you some tools that can help you understand how people are searching on Google, how people are using your website, how people are when your business actually appears online using something called Google Alerts. So we'll get into that. And then I'm going to close with a section about being more productive. And I will give you an introduction to a suite of tools called Google Apps for Work and explain how you can use it to grow your business. And then we'll do a review of the resources. If you have any questions afterward, we will be available to answer them for you. So with that, I would love to get started because we have a lot of information to cover today. So let's talk a little bit about being found on Google. And so I used to teach with these stats about how many searches happened on Google every single day. And that's still important. You can still think about it in the sense that if there are billions of searches that are happening on Google, if even the smallest number of those searches is for you, that's a really valuable opportunity to appear when people are doing those searches. But I also want you to start thinking about Google, about the internet in a different way. It's not that people go online to find things anymore. It's more that people live online. It seems like everything that we do revolves around grabbing a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop or a computer and doing a search for something that we want to find. And it's these moments, these very important micro moments when people are looking for something, that I want to find something, I want to do something, I want to learn something, I want to buy something moments. These are the critical moments for your businesses to actually be found when people are doing those searches. So more and more, it is critically important for your business to appear at that moment when the consumer is in the frame of mind to find you. You can think about Google as a giant database of intentions, that every time somebody wants to find something, they go to Google and they type in the words and phrases that are at the top of their mind. So with that, in this section, I'm going to cover how the search works. I'm going to give you some tips for search engine optimization, or SEO. I'll talk about some tips for promoting your website across Google. I'll give you an introduction to search engine marketing. And last but not least, we'll talk about your website on multiple devices. So we have a lot to cover in this first section. Okay, so let's talk about the why. And I think I've already started establishing that a little bit. Everyone lives lives online. It's really critically important to be there. If you need yet another statistic, it's that 97% of people start their search or a search for a local product or service online. Basically, anytime somebody wants to buy something or has a question, they have a problem they're trying to solve, they grab an internet-enabled device and they do a search for it. And that's pretty much changed the way that the shopping process works. We used to go into a store, we used to call a salesperson, we used to, solicit our friends and neighbors for advice. But now typically the first step is going to be to actually do a search to find out information about what it is that you're interested in and go from there. So you need to really think about this is the moment where you're going to be first introducing your business to a consumer. That's that micro moment where you want to appear and put your best face forward. Okay, so let's take a look a little bit at how Google search works. And so when someone wants something, they go to google.com. I'm actually curious, how many of you have done a Google search today? I can't see you all, but I imagine that there are lots of people out there, and I'm going to imagine that just about every single person in this room has done at least one Google search today. Well, on average, people do many, many, many searches a day. And so they go to Google and they type in the word or phrase that's at the top of their mind. And that is called the search query. And a search query can be a word or a phrase, whatever you're thinking about right now. And that's what you want to find. So backtrack 19 years ago when I was in college and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. One option was going to be a high school English teacher, and so I was preparing homework. So here's your first homework assignment. For every person in the room, I want you to start thinking about what words and phrases are important to your business. What would someone who's going to Google be likely to type in if they were looking for you? Now, of course, if I lived in your communities, I might know the name of your business. So I might type that in directly. So obviously that would be one of the things as one of the search queries on your list. But what if I was doing a search here from Nashville, Tennessee, and I don't know the names of your local businesses? Well, instead of searching for the name of your business, I might search for the product or service that I need, or the restaurant that I'm looking for, or the type of entertainment that I want to bring my 12-year-old daughter to. So I want you to start thinking beyond just the name of your business, but think about what types of words and phrases your customers might be typing in. Now, maybe you're a service provider and you can help me with something. So start thinking about some of the problems that I might be trying to diagnose or I might be experiencing, and think about how, well, this is your opportunity to then appear when someone is typing in this search query on Google. So when that happens, Google, in a matter of milliseconds, is going to go through all of the pages that it can find in what's called the index. It's basically, you can think of it as a giant filing cabinet. And in the filing cabinet, Google has a link to every single web page that it knows about that it could potentially link to. And so now, in that microseconds, Google is going to figure out how to best construct the most useful web page of results for this person at this moment in time. And we look at this breakdown of the page, and you can see where that arrow is pointing. That's Google's true natural algorithm. That's where Google began. And so what it's going to do, it's going to say, we're going to find and pinpoint the most relevant web pages on the internet for this person at this moment in time. Now, the organic search results appear in this center well of the results page. And a few important things to note about them: you cannot pay Google to be there. If you advertise with Google, it's not going to help your chances of appearing higher on these pages. It is truly a matter of your website being the most useful result for this searcher at this moment in time. It also doesn't cost this website any money if anybody clicks on it. So, of course, everybody wants to appear there, right? You want to be up near the top where you're not going to have to pay when someone visits your site. So even though they're free, and even though you can't pay Google to be there, it's extremely competitive to get there. In fact, that's probably why you've received an email from some stranger over the years that says, we can guarantee you first place on Google for X amount of dollars. Well, I'll be the first one to tell you, having coming from that industry, that nobody can guarantee you a specific position on Google. However, there are things that you can do to help Google better understand your website. And the more clearly Google understands your site, and the better your site fits whatever that person is searching for, you can think of it as an answer to their question, the more likely you are to appear here in the results. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec, that search engine optimization. So that's the first section of the search engine results page. Now, the second area that I wanted to point out to you are the advertisements. And the ads can appear at the top above the organic results and on the right-hand side in the column. And these operate separately and differently than the organic results. The advertisements are served up by one of two programs. Google has a program called Adwords and a program called Adwords Express. I will go into more detail about them. But in a nutshell, when someone does a search on a search query, that word or phrase that we just talked about a few minutes ago, if an advertiser has a keyword that is related to that query, then their ads may be eligible to appear on this page. So if I was doing a search for a squirrel-proof bird feeder and someone was advertising that product, they would have an opportunity to show their ad to me on this search engine results page. There's one other piece that I wanted to point out on this page. No one's asked me about it yet, but I'm waiting. You can see some images on the right. Those are actually called product listing ads, and they're served out also through AdWords. So if you are a retailer and you have products like this that you want to sell, this is one other way that you can appear. It is through AdWords, but this is a special format of an ad that allows you to actually show an image. And again, all of the images, all of the results on these pages are designed to help the searcher find what they're looking for. So I've already given you a few hints about my age and when I started. And when I started in my career way back when in Boston, the very first search engine that I ever used was called Alta Vista. And I remember the day that one of my colleagues actually said, hey, you should check out this new search engine called Google. And I went there and I was like, there's not a whole lot here. It's just a white screen. But the reason that Google is so popular is because since it launched, it's had an incredibly accurate and informative algorithm. Basically, when I search on Google, I am more likely to find the stuff that I'm looking for. And so everything from the advertisements to the image advertisements that you see to the organic results, everything that you see on a Google search engine results page, the ultimate goal is to help that searcher find what he or she is looking for. And that is what I call Google's special sauce. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about search engine optimization, or SEO. And search engine optimization, again, is the process of helping your site improve its chances of showing up in the organic result, that center well where your website can appear. Now, again, it doesn't cost any money if somebody clicks on one of those links, but you can't pay Google to be there. So what can you do? How can you help your website improve its chances of appearing there in the organic results? Well, first and foremost, the most important part of any person's strategy is going to be content. Content is the key to getting your site listed higher in the organic results. And a lot of people ask me, well, what's the schedule? How often do I have to write? And how much do I have to write? And all that kind of stuff. Again, it's going to depend on the business. It's going to depend on the time and the effort that you are willing and able to put into this. You can hire somebody to do this for you, but you can absolutely do it yourself. Because all of you, every single person listening to today's session is an expert in their business. You know what your products, your service, you know what your customers are asking about, you know what your customers need, and any content that you can put on your site, whether it's a tip for, weatherproofing your windows for upcoming cold weather, or if it's a tip for preparing a dish that you make at your restaurant, whatever it is that you know about and you deal with, that's the content that you want to start thinking about adding to your site. Now, as far as how often to do it, that's up to you. It's kind of like everything. The more you put into it, the more you mold to your site, you increase the chances of appearing higher in the search engine results, because Google is basically a big computer program, and the computer program is going through all of the pages and it's looking at what it can find, the text, the images, the information about that, and trying to piece together what you are about, what this website is telling the person about. And if that website is the answer to their question, the best answer, it improves the chances that they will be listed higher in the search engine results. So remember going back to the beginning of the class when I had you write down a list of words and phrases that you would hope your website would come up if someone did that search? You can use that as an idea guide. Use those as themes to start creating new content about your site. You want to start, being engaging, using those keywords naturally in your content. You want to keep your website up to date so people will hopefully share it and link to it. Let's talk about the first Google tool. This is a free one. It's called Google Search Console, and it used to be called Webmaster Tools, and you can get to it at google.com/webmasters. And in a nutshell, what this does, it gives you reports that show you if your website is Google friendly. Can Google access the web pages? What kind of information can Google extract from those web pages? And you can use these reports to kind of get a checkup, a health checkup on your site, just to make sure that Google is able to find it and to get the information that you hope is being presented there. So that's the first one that I wanted to introduce today, again at google.com/webmasters. Last but not least, on this slide, I want to recommend that everyone set realistic expectations. Just because you start promoting your site and writing content and setting up Search Console today, it doesn't mean that you will automatically be listed high in Google search results tomorrow or even the next day. This is a slow, incremental process, and if you think about it, you're basically competing against every other website on the internet that would hope to appear when someone does that search. So there'll be some opportunities that will be more attainable than others. For example, if you had let's say you had a restaurant, an Indian restaurant, one of my favorites, and you had one here in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, you would hope that someone would show up, your restaurant would show up if someone searched for Indian restaurant, right? But if someone was in Memphis and they searched for Indian restaurant, Google is going to figure out, well, this person is searching from Memphis, so the results that they show would be probably tailored to Memphis. And I would actually be fairly unlikely to show because I'm searching for something that's, the best result would probably be that local result. But if I did that search here in Nashville, I'd be far more likely to show up. Now, a search for Indian restaurant in Nashville, that's going to be far more likely to turn up your website. Okay, so that's what I wanted to sort of get you thinking about, getting your website up to date, keeping it up to date, using Google Search Console. Now, there are things that you can also do to promote your website while you're waiting for, your position to increase in Google over time. And some of the tips that I recommend for clients to help promote their websites include email. Email is perhaps the most efficient and one of the most inexpensive ways to communicate with large groups of customers. That is assuming that you have a high-quality email list, people who have provided their emails to you and have basically accepted and want to hear from you. So maybe they're past customers, maybe they're prospects, they're people who signed up for your list at an event. But this is a really great audience for you to send your stuff to. Now, how many of you started off your morning by grabbing your amazing Hedwig mug and then drinking your coffee first thing in the morning and checking your email, and then you just deleted the first 500 emails that you saw because you'd never have time to read them all and then get any work done today? I'll bet that there are lots of you out there that happened to today. That's what I did. So before you send an email to your customers, I want you to get into this mindset that it's really important that every email you send out is really useful. You don't want to be one of those 500 emails that I deleted first thing in the morning. So make sure that every time you email your customers that you have something important to offer, some valuable information, a valuable offer. So use it, but use it very carefully and sparingly and wisely. Social media is another great way to communicate efficiently and to start promoting your website. You can use it to do things like create that personal face and voice for your business, to really directly interact with your customers. You can also use it for extremely practical ways to promote your business. My friend Kim, my neighbor right up the street, she uses social media. So when she's a massage therapist, and when she has a cancellation, she'll go to every single one and she'll post, say, I'll give you $25 off my 3 p.m. cancellation if you come in today. So you can use it in very practical ways, as well as to build your fan base and to communicate directly with your customers. Now, if you are just getting online, if you're just sort of stepping into this, you probably have a lot of print collateral, whether that's receipts or estimates, business cards, packaging material, your vehicles. So anywhere that you are actually using some sort of print collateral with potential clients, customers, start putting your URL there. Let them know that your website actually exists, because once they get there, then once they know about it, then that's the first step to actually coming back to it and then promoting and growing your website online. Now, I also want you to think about giving people an incentive to come. And I don't mean paying them to visit by any means. What I mean is I want you to think beyond the first visit. If I find your website, let's just say I go to this great Indian restaurant and I see, on my check that there's a link to the website, and then just for fun I go there after dinner and I check it out. Well, it might be a nice website, it might show that the restaurant accurately, but I've gone there and then I really have no reason to return unless you're going to give me some sort of incentive. And maybe that is sign up here for this email newsletter and we'll give you 20% off your next meal. Or, come back and sign for, read these, or come visit this webpage and then you can sign up for a contest for once a month we give away a free dinner. Or it could be that just come back and see our specials, or once a month we'll post a recipe of one of our famous dishes. So there are lots of different things that you can do to give people a reason to actually return to your website. So you want to start thinking sort of in the long term, well, what is my website supposed to do, and how is it going to help encourage people to come back, and how is it going to help grow my brand and my business online? Last but not least, reviews are critically important. More and more people, before they make a purchase, whether it's online or even in store, are actually reading reviews. They want to hear what other people have to say before they actually make a purchase. And so if you are working with folks who are happy with your service, happy with your products, encourage them to go online and write about it. Tell people that they had a good experience with you. And again, over time, this is going to help grow your business. Okay, so let's talk about the next topic, search engine marketing, or SEM for short. So as a little bit of context, when I first started teaching for Google way back in 2005, I used to teach a 2-day class. I'm going to do it in about 3 slides. So I can't tell you everything that there is to know about SEM, but I can tell you some of the important things. First of all, Google operates on a pay-per-click model, PPC. You may have heard that phrase, or sometimes CPC, which stands for cost per click. In a nutshell, what that means is that you are not paying Google for the privilege of advertising with them. You are going to pay Google if somebody actually takes that next step and clicks on your ad. And so if you can think about it differently, you can think about it as sort of a lead delivery system, where you're going to pay for the leads that Google is going to deliver to your business via the ads. And you're only going to pay when someone actually clicks, or you can use actually something, a call extension. So if someone finds your ad on a mobile phone, they can actually click the number and initiate a phone call to the business. So there are 2 ways that you can do this. One is called Adwords and the other is called Adwords Express. And they both operate in essentially the same way. Somebody wants something, they want to find something, they want to learn something. So they go to Google and they type in whatever it is at the top of their mind, the search query, and then they see a search engine results page, which I explained to you at the beginning of the class. Now, if they see an advertisement at the top that is an answer to their question, they could click on that ad, and then it would take them to the advertiser's website, to the page that they specify. So and they both work this way, and I want you to think about Google's job in this sense is really getting people to step 4. So someone does a search, they identify that, they match that with the keywords that you want to advertise on, they show your ad, and then they send them to your website. And at that point, Google's done. Google has completed their part of the bargain. Now it's up to you. It's up to you to have a website that closes the deal. So if I get to your site and I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, I don't know where I'm supposed to click, or I can't find the phone number to call you, or the checkout process is too long and complicated, or the website takes too long to load, there's a really good chance I'm just going to hit that back button and go try a different website. So it's really, really important that one of the very first steps that you take before any of the stuff that I'm talking about today is to make sure that your website is ready to help grow your business online. Because at the end of the day, it is going to be up to you to close this sale. Now, Adwords and Adwords Express are incredible lead delivery systems that can help get you those people, but then you have to actually finish it. Now, this slide here shows a breakdown of the differences between Adwords and Adwords Express. And I'm not going to read this out loud to you, but in a nutshell, both programs are very similar, but AdWords is going to give you all of the bells and whistles, all of the features that give you the customizable reports and the ability to really control things like your bids and your keywords. But it takes active management to do it well. With AdWords Express, a lot of it is automatic. You still will write an ad. You'll pick some categories for your business. You'll specify where you want your ads to show, and you'll pick a budget. But then Google handles all the rest. They handle the bidding process. They handle the keywords. So on the one hand, it will save you a lot of time because a lot of it is automated, but you will lose some of the control. It just depends on what makes the most sense for your business. But I have seen both models work very, very well for businesses large and small. Okay, so that is SEO and SEM. Last but not least for this topic is mobile devices, multiple devices. So I can't see your hands out there, but I will bet that just about every single person who is listening to today's session has a phone with them. It's probably a smartphone, right? Some of you have a smartphone and a tablet and a computer with you. In fact, that is how the world works today. We are a multi-device world. I was watching a movie about a month ago with my daughter, and she had some friends over, and I had a friend over. We were all on this big couch. And I looked at the couch and I thought, oh my goodness, here's the movie on the screen ahead of us. My daughter had her phone, my friend had a laptop, the other child had a tablet, and we were all working on a different device while we watched the movie. And that is how we operate. So now, on top of having a good website that closes the deal, that appears on Google, you also need to make sure that your website appears and looks good on a mobile device. So some of the tips that I can help you with, make your website touch-friendly. Don't make the navigation so small that it's really difficult to get around on a smaller device. Make sure that your fonts are large enough for people to read. And that, you know, again, one of my other possible careers was going to be journalism. So don't bury the lead. Don't put the most important information way down on the page so people have to scroll and scroll and scroll to find it. You want to write clear, concise content that's up at the top. So if the most important thing I need to find is the address and phone number, there it is. Test. It's at the URL that you see on the slide, google.com/webmasters/tools/mobile-friendly. If you go to that web page and you put in your URL, it will give you a report to let you know whether or not your website is considered mobile friendly by Google. It's actually becoming really, really important because now Google is factoring in the mobile friendliness of your website on the search results when people are searching on a mobile device. And more, that's how people are accessing the internet. So you really need to make sure that your site is usable and is Google friendly, and you can use this test to figure it out. Okay, so that covers our first section about getting found on Google. Let's talk about getting unique insights. And I'm going to cover why tracking matters, why we care about this topic at all. I'll be talking about Google Analytics and giving you a very brief introduction to that suite of tools. We'll talk about Google Trends, and then we'll talk about Google Alerts. So again, I start every topic with why we care about this and why this is important. So I want you to look at this box and imagine that this square rectangular box represents all of the visitors who came to your website last month. And the visitors who came to your site, I mean, an easy example is if you have an e-commerce website. So then the goal of your website would be that you wanted someone to put a product in a shopping cart, put in their credit card, and check out, and then they're done, right? And so this chart that we're looking at is going to show, of the people who came in that rectangular box, how many of them actually completed that purchase. And so you would see that in that red line at the bottom. And in internet marketing, we call that the conversion rate, basically the people who completed a desired action. And so the goal here is to understand how many people came and how many people converted, and then use that information to figure out, well, of the people that came, why didn't they convert? Why did they leave? These are your low-hanging fruit. These are the people who were there, but then for whatever reason they didn't become your customers. So these are actually your best opportunities to figure out, well, what can I do differently or better on my site to help increase that red line and improve my conversion rate. And that's the goal of every online marketer. Now, I'll bet that, again, a lot of people out there don't have e-commerce websites. So this can be a little tricky, because how do you actually measure conversion rates if you're not selling directly on your website? Aha! So here's my next homework assignment for every person in the room. Whether you're e-commerce or not, I want you to take a really hard look at your website, and I want you to come up with goals. I want you to have a reason for someone to come to your website, and something that you need them to do when they get there as a result of visiting that site. A lot of people have treated websites as simply online brochures. A website can be so much more, should be so much more than that. You can do things, you can get people to take the next step, to take an action. And so I want you to start thinking about, if someone came to my website, what is it that I would want them to do? Maybe that is fill out a contact form or a request for a quote, or to get directions to your business, or to call you on the phone, or to watch a video. Whatever your business is, it will be different for every single business out there, but you need to start making a list of all of the things that you wish would happen when someone visited you. Now, once you know what the desired action is, you can actually start measuring whether or not that's happening. And then once you measure, you can start to figure out, well, what can I do to potentially improve that conversion rate? What can I do to increase the likelihood that visitors to my website will take that next step that I want them to do to grow my business online? All right, enter our next tool, which is called Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a free, powerful tool. It's at google.com/analytics. I used to use this for clients way back in the early 2000s. It was a product called Urchin. Google bought it, and then they made it completely free. And they didn't strip it down. It's a really amazing piece of software. The largest companies in the world use it, and it's free for everyone. And as a little bit of analytics will do in a nutshell is basically give you a series of customizable reports. And these reports will show you a visitor behavior. And so you can go to the reports and you can answer questions like, well, where did my visitors come from? And that could be from other places on the internet, from geographic location. You can see things like, well, did people come to my website and look at many pages or specific pages, or how much time did they spend on the site? And where are people leaving? And if I can look at the reports and see that every single person is leaving at this place, what can I do to improve it? What can I do to encourage them to do something else? Or if it is the natural termination of the visit to the site, what other information can I leave them with at this place that can really help increase the likelihood of closing that sale? Maybe it's a last-minute coupon. Maybe it's a reminder, and here's the phone number. Here's a download of the next steps for you to take. If you have an e-commerce website, you can connect it, and you can do really cool things like see where visitors abandon their shopping carts. So a little possibly TMI, but well, one of the things that you can do is you can actually see how far somebody gets down and when they abandon their shopping carts. And one of the things that I do, because I travel a lot, is that I go to a very well-known store that has extremely expensive furniture, and I decorate my dream house by adding all of this stuff to the cart, and then I leave. So I know that the marketers at this company are saying, who is this person who's adding like $1 million worth of furniture into her cart and leaving? And they're probably cursing me. But there are lots of other scenarios where you can actually go to the reports and say, we're losing 60% of the people at this step in the process. Maybe we need to tweak the checkout. Maybe this part is giving people trouble and we need to address it. So the point that I'm trying to get across here is that Google Analytics can help you understand and get insight into how people are using your site, whether that's reading the web pages or using the shopping cart, and then you can use the reports to figure out what you might change, what you might improve on that experience on the website that will increase the likelihood of a conversion happening. So you can think of this as a tool for you to use to help figure out what you need to do on your website that can help your business grow online. So that is Google Analytics. It's free. It's at google.com/analytics, and there's a huge help center and lots of online courses that you can take to learn more about it. But since I've got a few more slides to cover, we will move forward. Okay, Google Trends. I love this tool. It's basically a web page. It's at google.com/trends. It's a web-based tool that allows you to enter a term or multiple terms and then compare their relative popularity across Google. So Google Analytics looked at just your website. This is going to look at Google as a whole. So in this example, the screenshot's a little tough to see, but if you were able to focus in on it, I'm making mine bigger so I can see, I'm actually comparing 3 search terms: gluten-free, vegetarian, and vegan. And I am looking back all the way to 2004 and looking at the relative popularity of search. And I have this focus just on the United States. And you can see that way back in 2004, the most popular term was vegetarian, followed by vegan, and gluten-free was practically unknown. Fast forward a few years, and gluten-free is the number one of those searches, is the number one query. That's what people are looking for. And vegan has actually taken second place, and vegetarian is now coming in third. Vegetarian's actually been pretty steady. But this will help you understand sort of the trends and the mindset of what's popular on search right now. So when you are thinking about how to market your business online, you can focus on these trends to figure out how to really speak to your target audience. Now, the next slide shows the same report. It's just further down on the page. You can actually get even more information. You can see by those keywords where those searches are happening. So I'm focused just on the United States. I can see the areas of the US where some of those searches are more or less popular. So maybe if I see that Colorado is my top market, that's where I might want to spend more advertising dollars. I can also see related searches, which tells me if somebody searches for this word or phrase, they're also searching for this. So this can help me get more ideas for the content for my website, going all the way back to our SEO conversation in the beginning of the class. This is a great research tool for all businesses. It's free. It's at google.com/trends. Now, the next one here is Google Alerts. And if you don't do anything else today, please do this. It's at google.com/alerts, and it's basically your online. When Google finds a new reference to a word or phrase that you have set up an alert for. So you can set up by default 1,000 alerts, and so that can be the name of your business, that can be your employees, your products, your services, your competitors, your favorite sports teams, anything that you are interested in, you can put that term in, and then Google will let you know when they find a new reference to it online. And you can get an alert as it happens, once a day, or as a weekly digest. And the email's cool. It has the subject line of the title of the page, it has an excerpt and a link to it, so you can go right to it and see what people are saying about you. Again, it's free. It's at google.com/alerts. Okay, let's do one more topic and talk about being more productive. And I am going to give you an introduction to a product called Google Apps for Work. And I'll talk about the software just to give you a quick overview. So Google Apps for Work is a cloud-based productivity suite. So what does that mean exactly? Well, back when my lovely daughter was 3 years old, I remember that day where she ran down the stairs to give Mama a big hug, and Mama had left her mug, it was orange juice, not coffee, next to my computer, which was really silly, and she knocked over my drink right on my laptop, and it was fried, and it was pretty tragic. Now, if only I had been smart enough at the time to be using cloud-based computing, it would have really saved me a lot of headache and heartache, because all of my stuff wouldn't actually live on the computer. All of my stuff would live in the cloud. So if you think about it, it's a giant network of computers that is going to safely, securely hold all of your information, your email, your documents, your contacts, everything that you put up there. And anytime you can get to an internet-enabled device, whether that's your phone or another computer, another tablet, and you can get online with a web browser, you can get your stuff. So that's the easiest way that I can think of to describe a cloud-based productivity suite. Google Apps for Work is automatically backed up. You can get to it from any device. So now you don't have to worry about does it work on a Mac or a PC. It allows you to collaborate with your coworkers and anyone else that you want to work with. It is private and secure, and it saves you money. A quick caveat about private and secure. So at my classes, one of the things that I do is I ask them, well, does anybody know what the most popular password in the United States was last year? And the short answer is it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if any of you out there right now, if any of your passwords are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, stop listening to me. Just turn your computer off and go and change all your passwords right now. The other thing is that, all right, now I confess, I totally did this myself up until 2 years ago. We won't do the hands of shame, but I'll bet that there's some folks out there who are using one password for all of your sites, your bank site, your shopping websites, all that stuff. If you're doing that, you also need to go and change your passwords, because if you think about it, that's like having one key that you use for every single thing that you lock up in your life, your house, your car, your garage, everything. So you really do need to put in the time and effort. It is well worth for online security and safety to make sure that you have a good, strong password for all of your sites. Okay, so I will stop talking about that and go back to Google Apps for Work. There's a free 30-day trial, and you can try this out. You don't even have to put a credit card in, and if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it anymore. Some of the advantages of Apps for Work, it's going to give you a ton of storage for your Gmail, for your email, and in something that we call Drive, which I'll talk about that in a minute. That's your storage area. You get 24/7 phone and email support. There's a 99.9% uptime guarantee. It's pretty amazing. And if any of you are from nonprofits or government or education, there are special editions just for you. In fact, for nonprofits, Google has a special program. You can get to it at google.com/nonprofits. You can get a lot of good free stuff. So that's another great feature for you to check out if you have anyone from 501c3s there. Now, I'm not going to read this slide about how apps editions compare, but in a nutshell, there are two editions. There's a business edition, and that costs $5 a month. or $50 a year per person per account, and it gives you 30 gigabytes of storage for your email and your documents. You get all the 24/7 support, and it's for a lot of businesses that is going to be plenty for what you need. Now, for some businesses, businesses that have huge files, video companies, things like that, you might need more than 30 gigabytes of storage. Well, there is now an unlimited plan for $10 a month, which gives you unlimited storage. And so, that might be an even better option for you. It just depends on how much stuff you actually need to keep, which I'll get into in a minute. Okay, so let's talk about some of the products that are actually included in the suite. I'll bet that every single person out there has seen or used or has a Gmail account. Well, Gmail is part of it. The difference here is that now, instead of having an @gmail.com address, if you wish, you can associate your own domain name. So if your website is mybusiness.com, it can be, your email address can show to the external world as you@mybusiness.com. So that's going to really help you present a very professional face forward when you're communicating people via email. But it operates just the same as Gmail would. Now, the next part I want to show you is about how all of the documents work. So you have all of these document management pieces of software like docs and sheets and slides and forms, and that allows you to do word processing and create presentations and use spreadsheets. And you can import documents, so if you make something in Microsoft Word, you can actually import it right into Docs. You can actually create a document in Docs and then export it in Word. So it's going to play nice with all sorts of formats. Now, you'll hear about Google Drive. Google Drive is basically an online filing cabinet. And all of the stuff that you make or upload is stored in your drive. So that is where your storage is going to come into play. Basically, how much stuff you can hold within your drive. Now, last but not least, I wanted to show you the calendar. And the calendar is great, but I think probably the best way for me to show an example of that is to describe how all of this works together. So let's just say for every single person out there listening to today's session, we are all got hired and we're all working at the same company, and we need to have a big staff meeting. And so the person who's scheduling it will have a lot of schedules to look at. But if we're all sharing calendars through our company, basically this person can do an overlay and find a time that many or all of us are available and schedule it. They can create an agenda. You can actually assign a Hangout link so people can join via video conference, and then it will send out an invitation and manage RSVPs automatically using the built-in Gmail. So that kind of ties this whole suite together and explains why if you use Google Apps for work, it just makes your work life very seamless. I use it for everything that I do all day. In fact, that's how I'm teaching right now. I am reading and looking at my presentation, which is stored in Drive, which I am showing through Google Slides, and I have notes on my Google Doc. So that's just to illustrate how Google Apps for Work can help your business grow online. Let's do a quick review of the resources before they close me out and make me stop talking today. Today we covered getting found online. We talked about getting unique insights with Google Analytics and trends and alerts. We talked about being productive with Google Apps for Work. Remember the first one, Google Search Console, that was the tool that I mentioned, plus Google AdWords and AdWords Express. And in order to use any of the products that I talked about today, you actually have something called a Google account. You need a Google account. And if you use a Gmail address, you're automatically in a Google account. That is by default a Google account. But you don't actually have to create a Gmail address to do that. If you have another email address, you can register it with Google at google.com/accounts. And this becomes your single sign-on. So the one nice thing about Google is that, remember I told you to make a different password for everything, except for Google. For Google, you have one password, one username and password, a good one, and that is going to connect all of the different tools and allow them to work together as a suite. So that's your first step if you haven't done that already. Now, if you have any questions about any of the things that I talked about today, you can go back to any of these websites here. There's a link to all of the resources. that we discussed, and you can go and learn more about the products or try them out or do the free trials and see what you think. But we will also be answering questions here via the chat, so if anybody has any for us, we'll be happy to answer them for a while. And I really thank you guys for spending the last 49 minutes of your life with me. My name is Stasia, and we are so excited to introduce you to Google's products and services that can help you grow your business online. So with that, thank you all so much, and I really appreciate your time. Bye.